first written,
which is really the Noah story.
Absolutely, all the way to the chivalric romances, and then modern novels, 20th century theater. And as we look through the narratives we've created, then we understand how evolution and empathy is developed much better than the historians, because they actually don't give any account of it at all.
Listeners writing in, Tim says it's thoroughly appropriate and welcome for Mr. Rifkin to be emphasizing empathy right now because people are caught in the mania, the fear that the only thing humans know how to do well these days is selfishness. But in the end, human nature encompasses both empathy and selfishness, and both can get out of balance. Empathy out of balance, for example, is codependence. Thought?
That's very interesting. Let me strike a political note, if I might. When political conservatives sometimes hear the word empathy, they hear collectivism. Or
even socialism, specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
When liberal left people hear the word individualism, they hear the word selfish. The fact is, as I say in this book, self-development and individuality go hand in hand with empathy. As you trace the history of individuality and selfhood, differentiation of self, the more differentiated the self, the more one understands oneself and matures the self, the more one can then empathize with other selves and create solidarity. So actually, empathy is a way that brings together selfhood with a sense of our solidarity with each other, because we understand the fragility and the vulnerability of each of us, and we're rooting for each other to flourish.
That's a very Jungian notion, actually, in some ways. The individuation brings on more recognition.
And more integration.
The other and more integration, exactly. Listener writes, no discussion of human nature can be complete until it is recognized that the essence of that nature is the fear of death. All the other aspects of it that you enumerated are derivative from that fear. Unless and until we solve this mystery, we are doomed at least to a massive dieback, if not extinction.
Amen. One of the sub-themes in the empathic civilization is the fear of death. And, for a long time, there's been a long debate between the age of faith versus the age of reason. What I'm suggesting here is that we're moving from the age of reason to the age of empathy. We will not leave the core values of the age of faith and reason behind. They become part of the new ensemble. But the problem with the age of faith and reason is not the core principles, but both of them take a skewed picture of mortality. They try to escape it and deny it. For the age of faith, you find eternal salvation in the next world. For the age of reason, you find some kind of mortality by a cornucopia on earth. Both of them eschew the body. The body is considered evil or depraved because it's mortal by the theologians. And the philosophers of the Enlightenment see the body as transient, unpredictable. The emotions are. But
it's still a vessel for potential pleasure and all of that.
Well, that's right. But it's certainly, they try to separate the mind from the body and the spirit from the body. The problem is when you try to disassociate the body in embodied existence, you sever empathy, because empathy is based on our mortality. It's based on our physicality. It's based on our attempt to flourish and to live and to be, even knowing that our time is limited. So when religion and the age of reason philosophers tried to hide our mortality and escape into other worlds, whether it be paradise in heaven or a utopia on earth, what they did is they left behind what makes us human, and that is our mortality, our understanding and consciousness that we live and die, the preciousness of each life, that each moment in each life is a personal history that won't be repeated. That's the very basis of empathy.
I should mention we're going to be talking tomorrow with Jacob Nadelman, who has written a book about God. What is God is the title. If we sound philosophical here, like suddenly forums moving in that direction, then so be it. Right. Although, Jeremy Rifkin is, of course, an economist by training. Let me get Tom on here. Tom, hi.
Hi. How you doing?
Okay.
My name's Tom Alas. I'm writing a film right now about trying to revisit the ideas of Adam Smith. And I like Jeremy Rifkin's emphasis on the findings of neuroscience and mankind's social nature, but I would really suggest that you revisit Adam Smith, in particular the theory of moral sentiments, where he's known as the father of classical economics, and one of my purposes is to try to rescue him from the bear hug of the right, because the theory of moral sentiments, which he saw as his crowning achievement, took they started from the principle of sympathy as the basis of universal morality. So I like your ideas, but I don't agree with this whole cloth rejection of Enlightenment ideas. I feel that Smith has been misread, which is understandable because of the volume of his
Okay,
writing.
Tom, excuse me. We got just about a minute and a half.
Well,
here.
let me say thanks for calling in on this. I do mention the moral sentiments, and I do spend some time on Adam Smith's other side, but I point out that for all intents and purposes, the Wealth of Nations became his signature, not moral sentiments. Yes, you're right. There was another side. Same with Hume and some of the other Enlightenment philosophers. But the bottom line is what we have really distilled from that period is the idea of our utilitarian side. Look at Charles Darwin. His later works, especially his works on emotions and animals, was an empathic approach to evolution. Not too many people have read it. Michael, I think in the final analysis here, my sense is, and this came out of my experience in Europe, I think we have a pretty good economic game plan for Europe, the third industrial revolution, distributed energy and communication. I don't think there's a plan B. A plan B going back to the 20th century, sunsetting industries and energies. But the reason I wrote The Empathic Civilization is I don't think we're going to get to where we need to go, which is to save our species and our planet with just good economic plans or new technologies, unless we rethink the human story.
Well, the book is The Empathic Civilization, The Race to Global Consciousness in a World of Crisis. Jeremy Rifkin, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Michael.
We are here with you Monday through Friday, 9 to 11. Another hour of forum coming up. In the hour ahead, we're going to talk about the Supreme Court decision last Thursday on campaign financing and corporate giving and the First Amendment. We hope you will join us for that. Thank you for joining us for this hour. We wouldn't be here without our listenership, and so we are appreciative of you being with us here. Also want to thank our senior editor, Dan Zoll, and our producers, Kevin Guillory, Judy Campbell, and Tina Lauberg. Our engineer is Danny Bringer, and our executive producer is Raul Ramirez. I'm Michael Krasny.
Funds for the production of Forum are provided by the members of KQED Public Radio and the Claude and Louise Rosenberg Jr. Family Foundation.